A dark forest. Midnight. Drums are beating, fires are burning, and a man is dancing. But this is not an ordinary dance. His face is painted black, his body wrapped in palm leaves, and heavy bells hang from his feet. As he dances, he screams, sparks fly from the ground, his eyes roll back, and foam drips from his mouth. And the villagers kneel before him. Because he is no longer a man, he is a god. His name is Guliga, the furious, terrifying god of justice. And now he speaks through that man's body. He listens, he judges, he punishes. This ritual takes place in small villages across the Indian state of Karnataka, thousands of times every year. It is called Bhoota Kola, an ancient tradition that has existed for more than 5,000 years. Yet until 2022, most of India barely knew about it. That changed with the release of the film Kantara. The movie was made on a small budget of just 15 million rupees, but it went on to earn over 400 million worldwide. It shook the nation because what it showed was real. The boar god Panjurli, the wrathful spirit Guliga, the sacred rituals, all of it came from reality. But here's the question. Is this just a cultural tradition? Or do gods truly enter human bodies? Are people really possessed? What does science say? And what does faith say? Welcome to the most mysterious tradition of India, Bhoota Kola, the ritual where gods take over men. To understand this story, we must go to the western coast of Karnataka, to the regions of Mangaluru, Udupi, and Kundapura, an area known as Tulu Nadu. Tulu Nadu is a region along the Arabian Sea, covered in dense forests and coconut groves, filled with rice fields and wild animals. It is home to the Tulu language and one of the oldest cultures in India. The people here call themselves Tuluvas, and for thousands of years they have followed a unique belief system known as Daiva worship. A Daiva is not exactly a god, ghost, or spirit. The word describes local guardian spirits, ancestors, heroes, or natural forces who once lived and whose souls continue to protect the land. In Vedic Hinduism, there are great gods like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, but in Tulu Nadu there are Daivas, local spirits tied to the earth. Each village has its own Daiva, and each family its own protector. These spirits do not live in temples. They reside in forests, under trees, or near ancient stone shrines. Villagers see them as part of daily life. They feel their presence and communicate with them. Once a year, these Daivas are believed to enter human bodies during a ritual called Bhoota Kola. The word Bhoota means spirit in Tulu, though in other Indian languages it can mean ghost. That is why early outsiders misunderstood it and called it devil worship, which was completely wrong. Kola means play or performance. So Bhoota Kola literally means the dance of the spirits. There are around 400 different Daivas in Tulu Nadu, but the most well-known are Panjurli and Guliga, the same deities shown in the film Kantara. Panjurli is a boar-faced god, protector of forests and farmlands. According to legend, goddess Parvati adopted a baby boar, but Lord Shiva killed it when it destroyed the gardens of Mount Kailash. Parvati was heartbroken, so Shiva restored the boar as a spirit and sent it to earth, telling it to protect mankind. Panjurli became a gentle, compassionate guardian loved by farmers because he protects their crops and brings prosperity. Guliga, on the other hand, is dark, furious, and terrifying. According to myth, Lord Shiva once threw a stone, and from that stone, Guliga was born. He was so filled with hunger and rage that he tried to devour the world. Lord Vishnu calmed him by offering the tip of his finger, and when Guliga bit it, divine energy entered him. From that moment, his role was clear: to bring justice. Guliga became the Kshetrapala, the protector of boundaries, punishing liars, thieves, and the cruel. Panjurli represents kindness and protection, while Guliga stands for rage and justice. Every year between November and May, the villages of Tulu Nadu hold Bhoota Kola ceremonies to worship these Daivas, to call upon them, and to speak with them once more. Bhoota Kola is a night ritual. It begins in the evening and lasts until dawn, sometimes for 8 to 10 hours. First comes the preparation. The place where the Daiva resides, called the Daivasthana, is cleaned. It is usually an open area under a tree or near a stone shrine. A fire is lit, flowers are offered, and drums are brought. Then comes the performer, known as the Patri. These performers come from specific hereditary families, usually from the Nalike, Pambada, or Parawa castes. It is not a profession but an inheritance. If your father was a Patri, you will be one too. It passes down from generation to generation. The performer spends hours preparing. His face is painted with bright colors, yellow, red, black, and white, creating intricate patterns. He wraps his body in palm leaves, wears metal ornaments, and places an enormous headpiece on his head. Heavy ankle bells called gagara are tied to his feet, ringing loudly with every movement. Then the ritual begins. The first part is called padana, a form of oral literature. It is a song that tells the story of the Daiva, how it was born, how it died, and why it is worshipped. It is sung in the Tulu language and can last for hours. The drums, chenda and shruti, start beating, their rhythm rising and falling again. The performer begins to dance. It is not an ordinary dance. The movements are powerful, intense, and wild. He jumps, spins, and screams. And at one point, something changes. His eyes roll back, his body shakes, and foam comes from his mouth. He is no longer himself. The Daiva has arrived. The villagers believe this is possession, the spirit of the Daiva entering the human body. From that moment, the man speaks as the Daiva. Then comes the most important part, justice. The villagers bring their problems. I had a fight with my neighbor. Someone stole my money. My illness won't heal. The Daiva listens, decides, and gives a solution. It is not only a spiritual event, it also works like a real court. For centuries, Bhoota Kola has functioned as a local justice system. Even kings once obeyed the Daiva's judgment. The Daiva sometimes speaks softly, sometimes shouts with rage. To some, it says, "You are right." To others, "You are lying." The villagers always accept it, because the Daiva never lies. The ritual continues until morning. By the end, the performer is exhausted, drenched in sweat. When the Daiva leaves, the man becomes himself again. The villagers celebrate. The Daiva has come, solved their disputes, and blessed them with prosperity. For the villagers, this is not just a show, it is part of life. In some families, holding a Bhoota Kola is a sacred duty. Once you start, you can never stop. It must continue through generations. Organizing a Bhoota Kola is expensive, around 5 to 10 lakh rupees. The entire village must be fed. The drummers, performers, flowers, and sacrifices must be arranged. It is as large as a wedding, yet no one gives up, because if the Daiva is not pleased, it becomes angry. And an angry Daiva is feared by all. So are Panjurli and Guliga real? Are they just myths? Scientifically, of course not. There are no boar-faced gods, no spirits born from stones. But for the people of Tulu Nadu, this is not something to question. It is reality. Ask a villager, "Have you ever seen Panjurli?" And they will say, "Yes, I saw him in the forest." Ask, "Have you spoken to Guliga?" And they will answer, "Yes, I spoke to him last year during the Kola." These are not metaphors. People genuinely believe they have seen and spoken with these spirits, because this belief has existed for thousands of years. Their ancestors believed, and their ancestors before them did too. The story of Panjurli is simple. Farmers were tired of wild boars destroying their crops, but killing them was considered a sin. So they found another solution. They began worshipping the king of boars, believing that if they honored him, he would protect them. Did it work? No one can say for sure, but people believe it did, and belief is a powerful force. Guliga's story is darker. He is the god of justice, the punisher of liars and thieves. When someone commits a crime in the village, they are brought before the Daiva during the ritual, and the Daiva is believed to reveal the truth. How? Because the guilty cannot stand in front of him. Fear takes over, and they confess. The psychological pressure is immense. The idea that God sees you is often stronger than any police or court. There are many stories. One man stole money. When brought before the diver, he said, "I didn't do it." The diver grew angry. A week later, the man fell ill and died. People said Guliga killed him. Was it true? Maybe he was already sick. Maybe it was coincidence. But in the village, everyone believed Guliga did it. Another story tells of a woman who cheated on her husband. No one knew. But during Bhoota Kola, the diver pointed at her. "You have sinned," he said. The woman broke down and confessed. How did the diver know? Perhaps someone whispered it. Perhaps the performer already heard the gossip. But no one in the village believes that. They say, the diver knows. The diver sees everything. That is why Bhoota Kola is more than a ritual. It is a system of social control. There may be no police or court, but there is the diver, and you cannot escape him. Panjurli and Guliga have their own shrines, but they are not grand temples. They are small, open spaces, a stone slab, a tree, a fenced area. Villagers come every day to pray and leave flowers. Some Daivasthanas are famous. One of the most revered is Koragaja Adisthala in Mangaluru, the shrine of Koragaja, the god of justice. Thousands visit every year. They write down their complaints and offer them to the diver, saying, "Give me justice," and astonishing things happen. People claim, "Koragaja helped me win my case," or "Koragaja punished my enemy." Are these coincidences or miracles? Is it the power of faith? No one knows for sure. But after the release of the film Kantara, everything changed. Millions of people saw Bhoota Kola for the first time, and the names Panjurli and Guliga became known around the world. In 2022, a filmmaker named Rishabh Shetty made a movie called Kantara, which means mystical forest in Sanskrit. The story was simple: a village, a forest, and a land dispute. But the final Bhoota Kola sequence shook India. Rishabh Shetty himself portrayed Guliga. He painted his body black, wore palm leaves, and danced around the fire. His eyes rolled back. Foam came from his mouth. It was only a 5-minute scene, but it was so powerful that audiences stood up, applauded, and even cried. People from Tulu Nadu knew it was real. Rishabh wasn't acting, he was channeling. During filming, he had trained with real performers, learned their rituals, and shown respect to the daivas. The movie was made with a small budget of 15 million rupees, but grossed more than 400 million. It became a nationwide and global phenomenon. More importantly, it introduced Bhoota Kola to the world. Before Kantara, most people had never heard of it. "What is Bhoota Kola?" they asked. "A pig god." But after the movie, everyone knew and wanted to see it for themselves. Tourism exploded. Thousands of visitors began coming to Mangaluru and Udupi, saying, "We want to witness a real Bhoota Kola." They wanted photos for Instagram, but the villagers were unhappy. "This is sacred," they said. "Not a show, not a place for selfies." Some villages started refusing tourists altogether. "Go away," they said. "You are not welcome." Bhoota Kola was turning commercial. What was once pure and spiritual was becoming theatrical. More lights, louder drums, flashier costumes, but the soul was fading. The Karnataka government began paying monthly stipends to elderly performers, those over 60. It was good support, but it also changed things. Now it was becoming a job. The older generation used to say, "This is a sacred duty." The younger one says, "This is a profession." And a new debate began. Is Bhoota Kola a Hindu tradition? Rishabh Shetty said, "It's part of Hindu culture." But many activists disagreed. "No," they said. "Bhoota Kola belongs to the Tulu Adivasi heritage. It existed before Hinduism. Don't absorb it into the Hindu fold." They had a point. Bhoota Kola isn't Vedic. There were no Brahmins, no caste barriers. Everyone was equal before the daiva. Rich or poor, high caste or low, it didn't matter. But over time, Hindu influence crept in. Panjurli became an avatar of Vishnu. Guliga became a servant of Shiva. Sanskrit hymns were added, and Brahmins started performing at the shrines. Some call it cultural appropriation, the takeover of a local faith. Others call it evolution, cultures blending naturally. Who's right? It's hard to say. But one thing is clear: Bhoota Kola is changing. And whether that change is good or bad, no one truly knows. So here's the real question. Is possession real? Does a daiva truly enter a human body? Science says no. There is no such thing as literal possession. It's a psychological phenomenon. What actually happens? The performer dances for hours, exhausted, sweating, dehydrated. The drums are pounding, the torches are flickering, and the crowd is shouting. The environment becomes hypnotic. In that moment, the brain enters what scientists call a trance state. Consciousness shifts. The person loses full control and begins to act automatically. Anthropologists call this ritual trance. It exists in many cultures, among shamans, in voodoo ceremonies, in Thayam performances, and in Bhoota Kola. It's the same pattern. Rhythm, exhaustion, and faith combine to create a powerful altered state. So is the performer a fraud? Number, he truly believes it. In that moment, he genuinely feels like the daiva. But it's the brain's doing, not a spirit's. Some scientists have measured it: heart rate, blood pressure, brain waves during Bhoota Kola, and found abnormal readings. But they explained it as extreme stress and trance, not spiritual possession. But the villagers don't agree. Science doesn't know everything, they say. You measure, but you cannot see the soul. The daiva is real. We feel him. And sometimes the possession seems too specific to explain. The performer says things no one thinks he could know. Your grandfather's name was this. Last year you did that. There's money hidden in your house? How does he know? Maybe he heard it from someone, maybe it's intuition. But to the villagers, it's clear. The daiva spoke. Carl Jung, the psychologist, once said, "Possession is an archetype, a collective unconscious, a cultural memory." In other words, the daiva may not exist in the physical world, but it exists in the human mind. And what exists in the mind can feel just as real. But people in Tulu Nadu don't care about Jung. For them, Panjurli and Guliga are real. They have seen them, spoken to them, touched them. And maybe that's what matters most. Whether it's scientifically real or not doesn't change the fact that its impact is real. A villager fears the daiva and doesn't lie because the daiva will see. That fear keeps order more effectively than the police. A family donates to the daiva and hosts a Bhoota Kola. The whole community gathers to celebrate, a bond stronger than any government program. A sick person prays to the daiva, believes and feels healed. Is it a placebo? Maybe. But they got better. And that's what matters. Science says it's not real. But if it works, if it changes lives, then the question remains, does it really matter whether it's real or not? Today, in 2025, Bhoota Kola is still alive. Thousands of rituals are performed every year. Panjurli and Guliga are still worshipped. But things are changing. After Kantara, everything changed. Bhoota Kola is no longer just part of Tulu Nadu. It has captured the attention of all of India and even the world. Is that good or bad? It's a hard question. The good side, the tradition is being preserved. The younger generation is showing interest. Performers are being paid. The culture is not disappearing. The bad side, it's becoming commercialized. It's turning into a tourist spectacle. What was once sacred is slowly becoming entertainment. What will the future bring? No one knows. Maybe Bhoota Kola will turn into something like Disneyland. Maybe it will vanish. Or maybe it will become even stronger. What does this story teach us? First, faith is powerful. Regardless of scientific truth, belief itself can shape lives. Whether the daiva is real or not doesn't matter. If people believe, then the daiva exists, in their hearts, in their minds, and in their culture. Second, cultural diversity matters. India isn't just about Vedic Hinduism. There are thousands of local traditions like Bhoota Kola, and they deserve to be protected. Third, modernity and tradition will always clash. Tourism, cinema, money, they change rituals. But that isn't entirely bad. Without Kantara, the world might never have known Bhoota Kola existed. And finally, some mysteries can't be explained. Science can't define everything. Is possession real? Maybe not. But for those who've witnessed the ritual, who've felt that energy in the air, it's undeniably real. So what are Panjurli and Guliga? Myths, gods, spirits, psychological phenomena? We don't know. And maybe we don't need to. Because deep in the forests of Tulu Nadu on dark nights, while drums thunder and fires burn, people are still dancing. And in those moments, even if just for a second, the gods walk among them. Real or not, that's for you to decide.